You don't have 5 senses, you actually have 15. Most people only know the 5 physical senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. But you also have 5 mental senses: imagination, memory, intuition, reason, and willpower. And beyond that, 5 spiritual senses: clairvoyance, when you can see or know things that other people can't; clairaudience, when you can hear things that other people can't; clairsentience, when you can feel or sense things that other people can't; claircognizance, when you just know something without being told or seeing it; and clairalience, when you can smell things that other people can't. Together, they form the full spectrum of human perception. If you've ever felt like there's more to life than what you see, it's because you've only been taught to use 1/3 of your senses. Awakening the others unlocks a whole new reality. Tonight, close your eyes and test one. Visualize holding a lemon. Smell it, taste it, feel it. That's your mental and spiritual senses activating beyond the physical.
Ladies and gentlemen, isn't it poetic? The games they once played on others, the little tricks, the lies they told to keep their own fragile egos intact, they're all starting to turn on them. Every manipulation, every carefully placed piece on their little chessboard is coming back to haunt them, one by one. They thought they were so clever, so cunning, playing with people's emotions like pieces in their game. But now they're starting to realize that you can only pull so many strings before they start to tangle and twist and choke the hand that holds them. They thought they were invincible, that they could toy with people and walk away without a scratch. They wanted power, control, and they were willing to destroy anyone who got too close. Anyone who dared to see behind the mask. But here's the thing about masks: wear them too long, and they start to grow roots, twisting and merging with the face underneath. Now, as they look in the mirror, they can't even recognize themselves. They've become their own worst nightmare. It's almost tragic, isn't it? They hurt others to feel strong, to feel powerful. But now, as the pieces start to fall, they're the ones left scrambling, terrified of the monster they created. They played their hand too many times, and now there's no one left to fool, no one left to control. People see them for what they truly are: a hollow shell, full of insecurities and broken promises. Their empire of manipulation is crumbling, and they're left to watch it collapse brick by brick. They once believed they were untouchable, that they could twist the truth, distort reality, and no one would be the wiser. But now reality is pushing back, and it's a cruel, relentless force. Every lie they told, every story they spun is unraveling. And as they try to keep the facade intact, they're left stumbling in the ruins of their own deceit. What a delicious irony, wouldn't you say? They're trapped in a game they thought they'd mastered, a game they now realize they were never truly in control of. Oh, how they used to revel in their power, didn't they? They'd watch as people fell into their traps, ensnared by false promises and empty words. They enjoyed every second of it, the thrill of seeing someone else dance to their tune. But now, the tables have turned. Every pawn they use is reclaiming its power. Every person they dismissed is moving on, and they're left standing alone, watching the life they built on lies slip through their fingers. The emptiness is setting in, and it's terrifying. They thought they could just walk away, move on as if nothing happened, as if the people they toyed with were mere footnotes in their story. But people remember. Memories don't just disappear, and neither do consequences. They're haunted by the faces of those they hurt, the lives they disrupted for a fleeting sense of superiority. They wanted control, but in the end, all they have is regret. A life built on manipulation isn't a life at all. It's a slow descent into emptiness, a hollow victory that leaves them alone in the dark. And now, in the quiet moments, when there's no one left to impress, no one left to fool, they're faced with the truth they've been running from. Every game they played, every person they used, it all comes rushing back in a wave of regret they can't outrun. They tried to be invincible, untouchable, but they're human after all, vulnerable to the same emotions they tried to deny. And those emotions? They're coming for them with a vengeance, whispering truths they can't ignore. They wanted others to suffer, to feel the pain of rejection, the sting of abandonment. But now, they're the ones haunted by it all. Every tear they caused, every heart they broke, it's all coming back, reflecting their actions like a mirror they can't break. They tried to make others feel small, but in the end they've shrunk themselves, hiding behind a mask that grows heavier with every lie. The weight of their own games is crushing them, suffocating them in a silence they can't escape. There's a strange irony, isn't there? They once prided themselves on being the puppet master, the one pulling the strings, making everyone dance to their tune. But now, they're tangled in those very strings, trapped in a web of their own making. They can try to run, but they can't hide from the truth that they've lost control, that the games they played have turned against them. And as they struggle to break free, they're faced with the realization that they were never in control at all. You see, the people they used, the ones they tossed aside like pawns they've moved on, they found peace, strength, and resilience in the face of everything they endured. But them, they're left with nothing but memories and regrets, haunted by the ghosts of their own actions. They thought they'd come out victorious, but victory doesn't feel so sweet when you're the only one left standing, surrounded by the wreckage of the people you hurt. They used to laugh at the idea of karma, dismiss it as a fairy tale for the weak, a story to comfort the naive. But now, karma's knocking, and it's not a gentle tap. It's a relentless, pounding force that demands accountability. Every move they made, every game they played, it's all catching up to them, and there's nowhere left to hide. They're trapped in a nightmare of their own making, haunted by the choices they thought they'd never have to answer for. They thought they could bury the truth, cover it up with charm and charisma. But the truth has a way of surfacing, doesn't it? It seeps into every crevice, every crack, until it's impossible to ignore. And now, as they look around, they realize they're standing in a world they don't recognize, a world they shaped with lies and deceit. They've become a stranger in their own life, haunted by the reality they tried so hard to avoid. And that's the beauty of it all. The people they hurt, the ones they thought they'd left broken, they're thriving. They found strength in their pain, resilience in their scars. But them, they're left with nothing but the weight of their own actions, the knowledge that they built a life on lies. They tried to play the hero in their own story, but they've become the villain, a role they never expected, a truth they can't escape. It's almost tragic, isn't it? They spent so much time crafting an image, building a persona they thought would make them invincible. But now they're staring at a stranger in the mirror, someone they don't recognize. Every lie they told, every game they played, it's all coming back, demanding to be acknowledged. And as they try to piece together what's left, they realize they've lost the one thing they were trying to protect, their own sense of self. They wanted power, control, the thrill of being the one in charge. But real power isn't in manipulation, in games, in deceit. Real power is in honesty, in vulnerability, in connection. And now, as they stand in the ruins of their own creation, they're faced with a harsh truth that they never had power at all. They were just hiding, running from their own insecurities, trying to fill a void that no amount of games could ever satisfy. So let them wrestle with their own ghosts. Let them feel the weight of every decision, every game, every person they hurt, because the only person they truly played in the end was themselves. And that realization, it's a truth they can't run from, a haunting that will follow them wherever they go. The games are over, the masks are off, and all that's left is the empty shell of someone who thought they could escape the consequences of their own actions. Let them live with that. Let them walk through life with the weight of their choices hanging over them. Because while they tried to break others, they only broke themselves. The games they played turned back on them. A lesson they'll carry forever. A truth that will echo in every empty moment. They're haunted by their own reflection. A reminder that in the end, the only person they ever truly hurt was themselves. They wanted to believe they were untouchable, that their actions wouldn't follow them. But the reality is, every move leaves a footprint, a trace, a reminder that lingers. They convinced themselves they were too clever, too quick for karma to catch up. Yet here they are, feeling the chill of their own misdeeds. It isn't a grand punishment from the universe, no, it's subtler, like a whisper in their ear that they can't ignore. Every time they think they've shaken it, there it is again, reminding them of the damage they caused. The real punishment is knowing they're the only one left suffering in the aftermath. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round, gather close, because today we talk about regret. Oh yes, that heavy, haunting little thing called regret. The kind of regret that doesn't whisper in your ear, it screams. It roars. It claws at your chest in the dead of night when everything else is quiet. And trust me, for those who left you behind, those who traded a diamond for a pebble, that regret, it's starting to suffocate them. You see, when they left, they thought they were running towards something better. They thought the grass was greener, the road ahead smoother. They thought that by walking away from you, they were walking towards something easier, something more fulfilling. They didn't even realize what they were abandoning. No. They were too caught up in their illusions, too wrapped up in their selfish little worlds to see the truth staring them right in the face that you weren't ordinary, that you were something rare, something precious, something they'd never find again. But now, now reality is sinking in. And it's sinking in fast. Every single day they wake up next to their so-called replacement, and guess what? That replacement? That person who was supposed to be better, supposed to fill the void you left? They're as ordinary as they come. Predictable, replaceable, mundane. And it's eating them alive. Because every single moment they spend with this new person, they're reminded of you. They're reminded of the magic you brought into their lives, the way you lit up their world without even trying. You see, people like them, they don't realize how rare something is until they no longer have it. They don't recognize a diamond until they're left holding a handful of dust. And that's exactly what they're holding onto now, dust. Ordinary, forgettable dust. And the regret. Oh, it's unbearable. Because here's the thing, their replacement. That new person, they may have seemed like the perfect choice at the time, the easy option. But every day, every conversation, every little interaction with them only serves as a reminder of what they lost when they let you go. It's like a cruel joke that life is playing on them, an endless loop of disappointment. A constant reminder that they gave up something extraordinary for something utterly forgettable. And they hate it. They hate themselves for it. They hate that every time they laugh, it doesn't feel as real as it did with you. They hate that every time they try to share something deep, something meaningful, it falls flat because their replacement doesn't get them like you did. They hate that their new reality is filled with mediocrity, while memories of you burn bright in the back of their minds. But here's the best part, you're not there anymore. You've moved on. You're not caught in the cycle of their misery. They're stuck with their regret, with their dull little life, while you've grown. You've risen above. And that's what kills them the most, the fact that you're no longer within their reach. They made a choice, didn't they? A choice to walk away from you, to pursue something they thought was easier, shinier, more exciting. But now, the shine has worn off. Now they're starting to see the truth. They traded the exceptional for the ordinary. They traded someone who understood them, who challenged them, who made them feel alive, for someone who's just there. It's funny, isn't it? How they once thought you were the problem. How they criticized you, tried to make you feel small, tried to make you doubt your own worth. They thought you were too much, too intense, too passionate, too real. And now they're realizing that what they thought was too much was exactly what made you irreplaceable. And every time they look at their replacement, they're reminded of the mistake they made. It's like a slow, agonizing torture watching someone who will never live up to the standard you set, who will never be able to give them what you gave them. They thought they could find better, but all they found is disappointment. And the best part, they have no one to blame but themselves. You see, they can't undo what's been done. They can't turn back time and erase the choice they made to walk away from you. They're stuck with their regret, stuck with their ordinary little life. While you're free. Free to live. free to love, free to be the incredible, extraordinary person you've always been. But oh, they wish they could undo it. Every single day they wish they could go back to the moment they decided to leave, to walk away from you, because now they see what they lost. Now they see that they'll never find another you. But life doesn't work that way, does it? There are no do-overs, no rewinds, no second chances when it comes to someone like you. You were their one shot, their one chance at something real, something rare, something that could have changed their life forever. But they blew it. And now, they're left with the consequences of their actions. So let them live with their regret. Let them sit with the knowledge that they had something precious and they let it slip through their fingers. Let them lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what their life would have been like if they hadn't been so foolish. Because that's their reality now, a life of what-ifs and could-have-beens while you move forward into a future that's filled with possibilities. And you know what? That's the sweetest revenge of all. Because while they're stuck in their regret, while they're drowning in the realization of what they've lost, you're rising, you're thriving, you're becoming everything they were too blind to see. And that's what's going to haunt them for the rest of their lives. Their ordinary replacement? That's just the cherry on top. Every time they look at them, every time they try to convince themselves they made the right choice, they'll be reminded of you. They'll be reminded that they gave up a diamond for a penny. And that regret, it'll never go away. And as each day passes, as the minutes tick by, that realization will become heavier, harder to ignore. It'll be like a constant ache, a dull pain that never quite goes away. Every little thing will remind them of you the way you used to make them laugh, the way you could just understand them without them needing to say a word. They'll try to push it down, to pretend it doesn't bother them, but it will. Oh, it will. It will. Because here's the truth, and this is the part they'll hate the most no matter how hard they try to make it work with their replacement, no matter how much they want to convince themselves they made the right choice. Deep down they know they didn't. Deep down, they know they settled for less. They know they let go of something real, something extraordinary, for something that could never measure up, and that's going to eat at them for the rest of their lives. Oh, they'll put on a brave face. They'll smile and pretend like everything's fine. But behind those smiles, behind the mask they wear for the world, there's a storm brewing. A storm of regret, of what-ifs, of missed opportunities. They'll try to convince themselves that they're happy, but happiness doesn't come from pretending. It comes from authenticity, from being with someone who truly gets you, who challenges you, who loves you for exactly who you are. And they had that with you. They had everything with you. But they were too blind to see it, too caught up in their own selfish desires to appreciate what they had. And now they're left with the painful realization that they'll never have it again. They'll never have you again. Oh, they'll try to make it work with their replacement. They'll try to mold them into what they had with you, but it won't work. Because you can't recreate something real with someone who's only there to fill a void. You can't replace authenticity with something superficial. And they'll come to see that. They'll come to understand that no matter how hard they try, no matter how much effort they put into it, it'll never be the same. They'll never feel that connection again. And that's when the regret will truly set in. That's when they'll realize just how much they've lost, just how irreplaceable you really were. They'll look at their replacement, at this person who was supposed to be better, and they'll feel nothing but emptiness. Because deep down they know the truth. They know they made the wrong choice. They know they gave up a diamond for a pebble.
Somewhere in your bloodline, a savage refused to die so you could exist. Chew on that. Someone before you bled out in a ditch, face down in the dirt, teeth broken, ribs shattered, and they still clawed forward. For you, for this exact moment. Not for you to scroll, complain, or beg for permission. No. They spat in death's face so their bloodline wouldn't end in a coward. And now here you are, wasting oxygen, wondering if you're good enough. You think you were born by accident? You think the universe just tossed your name in a lottery and called it fate? Hell no. You come from beasts. From men and women who took what they wanted, built empires from nothing, buried their enemies under their boots. Every drop of blood in your body is ancient currency. It bought your existence in war, hunger, betrayal, and darkness. Yet you hesitate. You hesitate like your bloodline wasn't made for fire. Every second you flinch, you spit in the graves of those who made you. You dishonor warriors who fought with bare hands when steel failed. This world wasn't built by nice men. It wasn't built by the safe, the timid, the ones waiting for the right moment. It was carved by the wicked, the brutal, the relentless. And you live in a world padded in lies, softened in fear, sedated by comfort. The old world watches you with disgust. Ever wonder why you feel that gnawing emptiness? That quiet voice at 2 a.m. asking, what if you're the weakest link? What if the bloodline ends with you? What if you are the soft one? The one they'll whisper about in the shadows of history? The one who broke the chain of monsters? It's not a thought you can outrun. It's a predator stalking you every time you settle for less. Every time you hide behind excuses. They can smell your fear. The bones beneath the earth remember what real men were like. And brother, they don't recognize you. Because the blood remembers. The blood demands. And if you don't wake up, if you don't rip off the mask and bare your teeth, your bloodline dies with you. Extinguished. Forgotten. Another story of potential strangled by softness. But maybe there's something still alive in there. I can see it. Flickering behind your eyes like a dying ember. One spark could set the whole thing ablaze. And that's why you're here. You don't even know why you clicked this. But something ancient inside you does. It's hungry. It's restless. And it's about to tear its way back into your life. The question is, will you let it? Or will you bury it deeper, like a coward, and pretend you're fine? Choose wisely, because the blood remembers. Always. Comfort is the silent executioner of potential. It doesn't kick down your door or scream in your face. It whispers smooth, sweet lies while it wraps its hands around your throat. You won't even notice you're dying until you're already buried beneath a life you didn't ask for. Look around you. Soft couches. Endless shows designed to drain your fight. Processed poison called food. Fake compliments from people too weak to speak the truth. This isn't living. It's sedation disguised as freedom. And you've been swallowing it like medicine. You were built for struggle, not sedation. Your blood remembers nights spent in freezing rain, with wolves howling in the distance. It remembers war cries and broken bones. And here you are, celebrating a participation trophy like it means something. Pathetic. But you already feel it, don't you? That itch you can't scratch. You've been lied to. They told you peace was the goal, that safety was success. It was a trap, a beautifully constructed cage with velvet bars. They demand war, and soon you'll remember what it feels like to hurt for a purpose. The monster inside you is stirring. Inside you is a thing with teeth, and you've starved it for too long. You dress it in polite smiles and quiet nods. You cage it in routine, pretending you don't hear its growl when someone disrespects you. But it's there, pacing in the shadows of your mind, hungrier with every compromise you make. You've been told to be reasonable, to stay calm, to shrink when you should roar. That primal version of you, the one built for fire and blood, has been suffocated under layers of manners and mediocrity. But it watches, it remembers, and it's getting restless. Ever felt it? That pulse in your neck when someone crosses a line. The tightness in your chest when life hands you another insult dressed as advice. That's not anxiety. That's the monster scratching at the inside of your skull, asking one question. What would happen if you let me out? Because controlled chaos is power. The ones who built this world weren't calm. They weren't nice. They were ruthless, driven by an unholy hunger to take what was theirs. You buried that part of yourself, but it's time to dig it up. In a moment, I'll show you how to wake it up. Stay close. I would rather die on my feet with blood in my teeth than live soft on my knees. There was a man in your bloodline once, nameless, faceless, forgotten by history, but not by blood. Betrayed by those he trusted, outnumbered, bones shattered, bleeding out in the mud. But he refused to kneel. refused to close his eyes. They told him to surrender, to beg, to crawl like a beaten animal and wait for mercy that would never come. But mercy is for the weak. He spat a mouthful of blood at his enemy's feet and grinned with broken teeth, because death on his feet was better than living soft. And you carry that blood in your veins. It's diluted now, poisoned by comfort and mediocrity, but it's still there. Every time you hesitate, every time you settle, every time you say, maybe tomorrow, you betray him. You spit on the man who bled so you could exist. How dare you waste it? How dare you bow to fear, laziness, weakness, while his bones rest beneath the dirt, still clutching a weapon? That's not pressure. That's a legacy. And soon, it's your turn to fight. Stay tuned, because what comes next isn't a choice. It's a reckoning. This is not motivation. This is a resurrection. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to drag your dead spirit out of its shallow grave and force it to look in the mirror. You've been sleepwalking through your own life, a ghost with a pulse, and it ends tonight. Name your enemy. Weakness, doubt, softness, excuses. Every time you said, I'll start tomorrow, it laughed in your face. Every lie you fed yourself to stay small was another shackle on your soul. And now you either break them, or they break you. Right here, right now. Declare war. On every timid thought. On every wasted day. On every cheap, hollow version of yourself you've tolerated for far too long. Say it out loud. Wherever you are, I am the end of weakness in my bloodline. Let the world hear it. Break something. Lift something. Run headfirst into the storm you've avoided. Do it with a grin. Do it because fear tastes better when you chase it down. You are the bloodline of beasts. Act like it. This was just the spark. The fire comes next. And if this hits your bones, if something ancient inside you opened its eyes tonight, you're not alone. There's a brotherhood forming. A savage, relentless tribe of the unfuckwithable. Stay hungry.
My friends, sit back and listen closely. The world has an exquisite sense of irony, doesn't it? They thought your presence was ordinary, your existence disposable. They mistook your patience for weakness, your kindness for naivety. They believed that when you left, it would be them who would feel free. But oh, how the tables have turned. God, in all his wisdom, will make your absence their prison and your peace their greatest torment. It's not vengeance, it's balance. You see, when you walked away, you didn't just take yourself out of their life, you took with you everything good you brought to the table. Your love, your support, your loyalty, they were threads that held their chaotic world together. And now they're unraveling. Slowly, piece by piece, their life is falling apart, and they can't figure out why. But you and I know the truth, don't we? It's the price of their arrogance. Oh, They were so sure of themselves, weren't they? They thought they could hurt you, betray you, take advantage of you, and walk away unscathed. They thought they could play God in your life, dictating how much pain you should endure, as if they were untouchable. But there's a reckoning for that kind of hubris. God doesn't sleep, my friends. He was watching when they mocked you, when they disrespected you, when they dismissed you as if you were nothing. And now it's their turn to feel small. Let me tell you this, your absence is not just a void, it's a mirror. A mirror that reflects back to them every wrong choice they made, every cruel word they spoke, every betrayal they committed. And the more they stare into that void, the more they realize the magnitude of what they've lost. It's not just about losing you, it's about losing the one person who truly cared for them, the one person who saw them at their worst and still stayed. Until now. But staying was their test, and they failed. Miserably. They were given chance after chance, opportunity after opportunity to do right by you, to cherish you, to love you the way you deserved. But no, they squandered it all, believing you'd always be there, always waiting, always forgiving. How foolish they were. Because now they're stuck with their regrets, and regrets, my friends, are a heavy thing to carry. Do you know what happens next? They start to miss you. At first it's subtle, a thought here, a memory there. But then it grows. It becomes a gnawing ache, an emptiness they can't fill. They'll try, of course. Oh, they'll try to distract themselves with new people, new hobbies, new lies to tell themselves. But nothing works. Because the absence of someone like you is not something that can be ignored. It's a constant reminder of their failure. And while they're consumed by their regret, you're out there reclaiming your peace. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? While they're stuck in their torment, you're rising, you're healing, you're growing into the person you were always meant to be. And that, my friends, is the ultimate punishment for them, to see you thriving while they're stuck in the mess they created. Oh, they'll pretend they're fine. People like them always do. They'll post their fake smiles, their empty victories, their hollow happiness. But behind closed doors, they're crumbling. Because they know the truth, they're nothing without you. And knowing that is a torment that no amount of distractions can erase. Let me tell you something about God's justice. It's not always loud. It doesn't always come with thunder and lightning. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's as simple as making your peace their torment. Because every time they see you happy, every time they hear about your successes, every time they're reminded of the life you're building without them, it cuts them deeply. And the best part, you don't even have to do anything. God will handle it for you. You might wonder, do they even care? Oh, they care, alright. They'll never admit it, of course. Their pride won't let them. But deep down, they're haunted by the memory of you. They're haunted by the realization that they'll never find another you. And that realization, it's a punishment they'll carry for the rest of their lives. But you, my friends, don't carry that weight. Let it go. Let God handle the rest. Your only job is to focus on your peace, your happiness, your growth. Because the more you rise, the more their torment grows. And that, my friends, is the balance of life. They sow the seeds of their own misery when they hurt you. Now, they must reap the harvest. So, don't look back. Don't waste your time wondering if they've changed, if they've learned, if they're sorry. That's not your concern anymore. Let them deal with the consequences of their actions. Let them sit with their regrets. Let them face the reality of a life without you. Because here's the thing, people like them don't deserve closure. They don't deserve your forgiveness, your attention, your energy. They made their choices and now they must live with them. And you're free. Free from their toxicity, their lies, their manipulation. Free to build the life you've always deserved. God doesn't let his people suffer in vain. Every tear you cried, every sleepless night you endured, every moment of pain they caused, it wasn't for nothing. It was building you, strengthening you, preparing you for something greater. And now that you've stepped into that greatness, their punishment begins. Not because you wished it upon them, but because it's the natural order of things. They thought they could rewrite the rules of decency, that their lies and manipulation would never catch up to them. But oh, the truth has a funny way of surfacing, doesn't it? Every whispered betrayal, every calculated move to break you is now a weight they can't shed. You see, God doesn't let such actions slide. He lets them walk freely for a while, believing they've escaped unscathed. But then he calls the balance due. And when that time comes, there's no running, no hiding, only facing the consequences of what they've done. You were their lighthouse in the storm, guiding them when they were lost. But they thought the lighthouse could be abandoned, dismantled, forgotten. Now they're adrift, tossed by waves of regret they can't escape. They'll look for you in the eyes of others, in fleeting moments of false joy, but it won't be there. Because they didn't just lose you, they lost the safety, the solace, the sanctuary that only you could provide. And that's their lifelong torment. Let me tell you something, they never understood your kindness was not their entitlement. It was a gift you gave freely, even when they didn't deserve it. They thought they could exploit it endlessly, that your well of patience would never run dry. But when you walked away, you didn't just leave, they lost the rarest kind of love. And now they realize too late that some gifts once discarded can never be reclaimed. Oh, they'll play the victim now. Watch them spin their tales of woe, painting themselves as the ones who were wronged. It's almost comical, isn't it? How they twist reality to avoid looking in the mirror. But deep down, they know. They know they were the architects of their own misery. They know they gambled with something priceless and lost. And no amount of lies, no amount of self-pity can change that truth. You, on the other hand, have risen above. You didn't let their darkness consume you. You took their attempts to break you and turned them into fuel for your growth. And now, your peace, your happiness, your success, that's what haunts them. Because every step you take forward is a reminder of the life they could have had if only they had valued you. If only they had chosen differently. But isn't that the irony of it all? They thought they held the power, that they controlled the narrative. Yet here they are, stuck in the shadow of your absence while you stepped into the light. They thought they were invincible, untouchable. But now they're learning the hard way that even the strongest walls crumble when built on deceit, and their castle, it's nothing but ruins now. You gave them chances more than they deserved. You forgave them time and time again, hoping they'd change. But some people don't change, do they? Some people only take and take until there's nothing left to give. And when you finally said, enough, it wasn't just a moment of freedom for you. It was the beginning of their downfall. Because without your light, their world is nothing but shadows.
The world will hand you a god to kneel to, wrapped in gold chains and false promises. Preachers, parents, politicians, all carving your cage and selling you the key as a virtue. I looked mine in the eye, and I set that bastard on fire. They told you to pray, to be humble, to obey. Bow your head, lower your voice, clip your wings, swallow your questions. Every system built not to lift you, but to chain you with silk ropes and velvet lies. And you called it safety, called it purpose, called it destiny. You never saw the collar tightening. You begged for permission to be loud, to bleed, to rage, to want more. You knelt at altars of other men's approval, waiting to be crowned worthy, while they sold your hunger back to you in pieces. And you smiled, because it was easier to be liked than to be limitless, easier to be praised than to be feared. But here's the sickness, and here's the cure. If everything you believed was given to you by people who profit from your weakness, then who the hell are you without them? What kind of monster would crawl out of that broken skin if you stopped asking, stopped waiting, and started taking? You ever wonder? Because I do. Every single night. They told me my darkness would destroy me. It did. And then it built me back harder. They told you to hide it. That raw, snarling thing inside your chest. That unspoken hunger you felt in quiet rooms. The part of you that wanted to tear through the polite smiles and rip the mask off this docile world. You buried it because they said it was dangerous. And it was. But maybe that's exactly what you were meant to be. Every time you swallowed your rage, they grew stronger. Every time you bit your tongue, a piece of you died. But here's the thing about monsters. You can cage them, starve them, chain them to a wall inside your soul. But they never die. They wait. In the silence. In the dark. In the nights. You can't sleep because something in your blood remembers what it means to be untamed. What if I told you that darkness isn't your flaw? It's your inheritance? that every savage impulse you've been told to suffocate is fuel for the god you could become. Lust for power, vengeance for being overlooked, a storm of wrath and sacred defiance. It was never meant to be tamed. It was meant to be sharpened. Think about it. What if the thing you're most afraid of, the thought you dare not say out loud, is the doorway to everything you could be? What happens if you stop apologizing for your hunger? What happens if you wear your madness like armor? You feel that? That pulse in your chest? That's not fear. That's the sound of the monster waking up. And it's hungry. The only prayer I answer is my own. You've spent your life looking for someone to crown you, begging for approval from people too small to even hold your crown. You let them tell you when to speak, when to dream, when to bleed. But what if no one's coming? What if there's no hand to lift you, no savior on the horizon? Just you, standing in a storm you were born to command. Here's the truth, no one whispers. You are both the altar and the sacrifice. Every time you broke, every time you failed, it wasn't punishment. It was a ritual. The old version of you dying, so a stronger one could crawl from the ashes. You've been offering pieces of your weakness to a fire you didn't even know you lit. And now it's time to claim what you've built in blood. Stop waiting for them to clap for you. The world doesn't owe you applause for becoming a god. Self-belief isn't a gift, it's a law. One you write in your own bones. No proof required, no permission asked. You decree it, and so it is. Because when you realize you are the only one capable of saving you, everything else feels like noise. And here's your question, the one that should keep you up tonight. When's the last time you gave yourself permission to be immortal? To live like your name should be carved into the walls of eternity, not scribbled in pencil on a page no one reads. You've been playing small in a world, begging for a monster in command. So, what's stopping you? I stopped chasing armies. I realized I am the war. There was a man, nameless by choice, forgotten by design. He spent years chasing armies, movements, flags, and leaders, desperate to belong somewhere, to hear a voice say, "You matter." Every room he entered, he shrank to fit. Every cause he followed, he diluted himself to survive. Until one night, staring into a cracked mirror, he realized the ugliest truth of them all. No one was coming. That was the night he burned his past like scripture in a heretic's hands. Every title, every promise, every half-love he clung to, reduced to ash. The people who praised him were gone. The crowds that cheered when he bled weren't there to stitch him up. And for the first time, stripped bare of tribe, tradition, and applause, he smiled, not because he was saved, but because he was finally untamed. The world sells you this lie, that salvation comes through numbers, movements, the safety of the herd. But herds die easy. They kneel at the first sign of thunder. Real monsters, real gods. They walk alone. They bleed alone. They build empires in silence and feast on their own fear. Because once you stop begging to be seen, you start becoming impossible to ignore. Now, I'll ask you this, and let it gnaw at your ribs tonight. What happens to a man when there's no one left to clap for him? And he likes it that way. When he stops needing the world's approval and starts writing his name in fire across a sky too small to hold him, would you recognize yourself in that man? Or would you flinch? I became my own religion, and I'll die adding verses to the gospel. Most people think there's a finish line, some final form where the pain stops, where the fight quiets, and you get to rest. They're fools. There is no final form. There's no mountaintop moment where you feel complete, because gods don't retire and monsters don't beg for peace. Every scar you carry is scripture. Every betrayal a sermon you get to preach in silence. You were never meant to reach some perfect version of yourself. That's the lie they fed you to keep you from evolving. The truth is, every time you burn, you're meant to crawl from the wreckage, meaner, sharper, harder to kill. You are not a statue to be finished. You're a storm with no horizon. And it's that endless hunger that makes you immortal. Think about it. How many versions of yourself have already died so you could wear their bones as armor? How many times have you been gutted by life only to find a darker, louder, more relentless creature inside the carcass? That wasn't coincidence. That was your blood remembering what you are. A force without a leash. A war without an end date. And here's the part that should crawl under your skin and sleep there. If this is only the beginning, what kind of monster do you think you'll become next? What happens when you stop fearing the rebuild? When you crave the demolition, the fire, the breaking of your own bones, just to see what new creature bleeds out. Stay tuned, because the next chapter's written in teeth. The worst prison is the one you built for yourself and called it a life. Look around. You dressed those walls with dead dreams and polite smiles. You hung your chains like decorations, convincing yourself they were gold. Every morning, you wake up, sip mediocrity, swallow fear, and call it breakfast. You were told to play it safe, to be a good little soldier. Wait your turn, bow your head, never speak too loud or burn too hot. Because if you did, they'd see you. And if they saw you, they'd fear you. So they sold you bedtime stories about patience while they built empires in the dark. Let's be clear. No one's coming. No hero in a cape. No mentor with ancient wisdom. The world isn't ignoring you because you're unready. It's ignoring you because you've made yourself invisible. You begged the universe for signs, and when it sent you pain, you called it unfair, when it was your damn invitation. Every day you waste, someone out there sharpens their blade, plotting, watching, smiling while you scroll, while you wait, while you hesitate. They're feeding off your stillness. And the terrifying truth? You haven't even met the version of you capable of annihilation. But you will. And when you do, pray you survive the encounter. The fire you've been told to extinguish is the only thing that can set you free. They told you anger was ugly, that your frustration made people uncomfortable, that your hunger for more was dangerous. Good. It should be. Because the people telling you to calm down are the ones terrified of what happens if you don't. Ever notice how the world preaches peace to the wolves and hands knives to the sheep? There's a reason you feel that storm building in your chest. That low hum of fury when you're overlooked, underestimated, discarded like you don't exist. You've been told to smother it, to drown it in shallow positivity and forced smiles. But what if I told you that rage isn't a flaw? It's your compass. It points to where you've been betrayed and where you should strike. The lie they fed you was that aggression is dangerous. No. Undisciplined aggression is dangerous. Directed rage, harnessed fury, that's a weapon that topples empires. It's the reason one man with nothing left to lose can shake a world that thought he was harmless. They don't fear your failure. They fear your awakening. And here's the twisted part. Every time they told you to calm down, it wasn't for your peace. It was for their protection. Because somewhere deep inside they recognized it. That glimpse of a monster behind your eyes. A glimpse of what you could become if you let it out. The question is, why are you still caging it? What happens when you finally stop? Clock hands aren't chains. They're weapons if you know how to use them. You've been lied to about time. Told it moves in one direction, slow and indifferent, aging you while it favors the young. Nonsense. Time doesn't serve the weak. It kneels for the obsessed. Every second you hesitate, someone else sharpens their blade, carves out your territory, and smiles while you sleep. The clock isn't your enemy. It's your weapon, if you dare pick it up. Forget the myth of too old, too late, or too soon. There is no such thing in the mind of a predator. History's most ruthless architects built legacies in their final acts, while others were digging graves. Colonel Sanders was broke at 65. Stan Lee was a ghost in his industry until 40. You're not behind. You're in position. And when you strike, it'll feel like a time bomb no one saw coming. Here's what they won't teach you. Time bends under relentless obsession. The laws are different for the possessed. 1 hour of ruthless, undistracted focus will outpace a week of half-hearted effort. Temporal aggression isn't a theory, it's a weaponized lifestyle. The one who attacks the day like a beast on fire rewrites the outcomes. And every second you waste feeds your enemies. Now ask yourself, what happens when you stop measuring time and start devouring it? When you treat minutes like currency and spend them only on things that sharpen your name? When you stop negotiating with the clock and start making it bleed for you? That version of you exists, and every second you delay, it's getting hungrier. The world isn't fair, beautiful, or forgiving. It's yours, if you're savage enough to take it. Listen carefully. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to wake the thing inside you. They've been trying to bury your entire life. The world told you to be polite, to lower your voice, to wait your turn. But tell me, where did that ever get you? How many times did you bite your tongue while weaker men took what should have been yours? Stop asking for permission. Stop begging for a seat at a table you should have flipped over years ago. No one's going to hand you power, status, or respect. You take it. You rip it from the grip of those who told you you couldn't. Because out here, it isn't about fairness. It's about who has the stomach to hunt while others sleep. Ambition isn't a sin. Hunger isn't weakness. The world conditions you to feel guilty for wanting more because your hunger threatens their control. Every apology you've made for dreaming big, for moving fast, for outgrowing people who couldn't keep up, was a leash you fastened around your own throat. Cut it. Burn the leash and the hands that held it. Let's get one thing straight. You'll either become the storm or be swallowed by one. There's no middle ground. You either learn to control the room with presence and precision, or you vanish in the shadows of men who do. History never remembers the nice. It remembers the ruthless, the relentless, the ones who refuse to kneel. Which one are you about to become? When you kill who you were, the world won't mourn. It'll kneel. There's a version of you that has to die tonight. The one who made excuses, who feared judgment, who waited for the perfect moment that never came. That soft, silent voice in your head whispering, maybe tomorrow. Bury it. Put it in the ground and spit on its grave. Because the world has no use for half-built men and almost legends. This isn't motivation. This is a funeral. And you're both the body and the executioner. Strip yourself of every weakness, every apology, every watered-down version of your ambition. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to terrify the timid and awaken the forgotten. The only question left is, how bad do you want the crown? Now listen, because most people won't make it past this point. They'll turn this off. They'll crawl back to their safe routines, their small lives, their invisible existence. And when they do, they'll feel a gnawing in their gut that never leaves. That's the ghost of the monster they could have become. Do you feel it too? Good. That means there's still time. From this moment forward, loyalty belongs to no one but yourself. No more lowering your voice to make others comfortable. No more shrinking your ambition to fit inside their fragile worlds. Legacy over comfort. Impact over approval. Power over politeness. Because when the dust settles, history remembers monsters, and legends are written in the blood of hesitation. Now, move. The greatest prison you'll ever live in is the one you built with your own comfort. Soft walls, warm blankets, predictable days that feel safe, and nights where you drown yourself in temporary highs. Your bed feels warm, your job feels safe, your weekends predictable, and you call this a life? You've convinced yourself it's enough because no one's had the guts to tell you the truth. Until now, they fed you lies like mother's milk. Take it easy. You deserve rest. Good things come to those who wait. You swallowed every word. You wore it like armor. But what they never told you was that comfort is a velvet noose. It feels soft against your neck until you realize it's tightening, and by the time you notice, it's too late. Comfort is the slickest dealer on the streets. It sells you little hits of dopamine, warm meals, soft lights, lazy afternoons. It feeds you ease while robbing you of discipline, edge, hunger. It numbs your fight, steals your fire, and leaves you a shadow of what you were meant to be. A king turned court jester in his own crumbling castle. When was the last time you did something that terrified you? Not uncomfortable, not awkward, terrified. Heart racing, palms sweating, mouth dry? Or have you been too busy wrapping yourself in convenience, praying that the storm passes you by? You forgot. The storm was made for you. In a moment, I'll show you what happens to the man who chooses violence over ease, and why you should be very afraid of what you might become. A lion raised in a cage forgets what it means to hunt. Once, there was a man who woke up with fire in his lungs. Every morning felt like a battlefield, and he was proud to bleed. He craved the struggle, hunted discomfort, and chase the version of himself hidden just out of reach. But somewhere along the way, he sat down. At first, it was harmless. One skipped workout, one extra hour of sleep, a harmless scroll through his feed, convincing himself he'd start tomorrow. Then came the snacks, the soft couch, the never-ending stream of shows that numbed his hunger. And before he knew it, the warrior was gone. Dead. Not physically, spiritually. You're not dying at 80. Most of you are dead by 30. Buried alive in routine. Suffocated by predictability. Mourned by no one because no one even noticed. The world doesn't grieve for the average man. It forgets him. Quickly. And you feel it, don't you? That gnawing in your chest. The part of you screaming there's more. And you're suffocating it daily. When masculinity, aggression, and hunger are sedated, a kingdom falls. You trade primal instinct for polite smiles. You lower your voice. You stop challenging yourself because comfort whispers sweet lies in your ear. And every day you listen, the grave you're digging gets deeper. But here's the thing. You can still climb out. If you don't kill the average man inside you, he will bury the warrior you were meant to become. That's not metaphor, that's fact. And the longer you delay, the more ruthless he gets. But there's a way out. A rebirth ritual that requires blood, sweat, and defiance. You ready for it? Or will you leave this video just like you arrived? Average? Inside every man is a monster. You were just taught to hate him. There's a voice inside you that you've been pretending doesn't exist. The one that whispers when you see someone more successful, more powerful, more fearless. That should be me. It craves dominance. It's not polite. It doesn't ask for permission. You've buried it beneath routines, paychecks, and approval from people you don't even respect. Somewhere along the line you were trained to muzzle it, told to stay quiet, blend in, be nice, keep your head down, play it safe, be manageable, and you did it. You lowered your gaze, clipped your own wings, and wore the mask they handed you. Congratulations. You're invisible now. But here's the truth. Nobody told you. The monster was never your enemy. He was your weapon. Focused, relentless, obsessed with greatness. The side of you that doesn't flinch when it's hard. The part that's willing to go where others won't. You didn't need to kill him. You needed to unleash him. Tonight, I dare you. Go to the mirror and look yourself in the eye. Not a glance. A stare. Ask one question. Who did I betray today? Was it the fearless version of me? The one who wanted more, who demanded more. And tomorrow, we sharpen the blade, because war is coming, and you were born to be a monster in the middle of it. Legends aren't born in warmth, they're forged in fire. The world's strongest men, the unshakable titans you envy, didn't crawl out of soft beds and easy mornings. They bled for it. Ice baths before dawn, fists against walls, rejection that cracked their bones but never their will. You think you want greatness, but you're still chasing comfort like a junkie begging for one last hit. Look around you. Your comfort zone isn't a home. It's a padded cell. The walls are soft because they don't want you to notice they're closing in. You confuse safety with survival, but what you built is a coffin lined with convenience. Every day you stay there, a piece of you dies quietly in the dark. So here's your new code. Chase pain. Not because you're a masochist, but because pain is proof you're alive. Seek discomfort daily. The cold water. The rejection email. The failure you've been avoiding. And do one thing every day that humbles you. Because when ego dies, discipline takes its place. Throw the couch in the street. Cancel the subscription that steals your hours. Break the pattern before it buries you. Or keep lying to yourself, forever praying for a tomorrow you'll never earn. And trust me, in the final section, you'll learn why discomfort isn't punishment. It's the gateway to godhood, and most men will never find it. Will you? The man who chooses pain over pleasure owns himself. There's a man buried inside you, waiting to rise through the ash of your old life. A man immune to fear, untouched by rejection, and unrecognizable to the version of you staring at this screen right now. He isn't motivated. He's possessed, driven by something so savage and ancient it terrifies the world around him. See, ordinary men chase comfort like starving dogs chasing scraps. This man, this awakened beast, runs toward the flame. He understands that pain sharpens the blade, suffering builds the throne, and chaos is where legends are made. The question is, are you finally sick enough of your own excuses to meet him? Because here's your philosophical dagger. In the end, the gods only speak to those who bleed for their destiny. The universe doesn't reward the comfortable. It crowns the defiant, the ruthless, the ones willing to trade pleasure for pressure, weakness for war, and doubt for absolute savage belief. You've wasted years waiting for the right time. Newsflash. Time isn't loyal. It devours the weak and kneels for the relentless. Kill your comfort. Build your monster. Burn this world with the fire you've buried for too long. The clock's done ticking. No more warnings. No more mercy. One final command remains. Destroy it.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh, let me paint you a picture, a masterpiece crafted by none other than the divine hands of God himself. You see, life isn't random, it's a canvas. Every stroke Every splash of color, every shade of light and dark is placed with purpose. And when God decides it's time to humble the proud, to shatter the delusions of those who see themselves as untouchable, He uses someone special. He uses someone like you. You were not just a person in their life, no, you were a reckoning. A mirror they never wanted to look into. A gentle storm at first, then a roaring hurricane, uprooting the lies they told themselves about who they were. Narcissists, you see, build castles in the sky. They think they are gods in their own right, untouchable, infallible. But God, oh, He doesn't just bring them down. He uses someone like you to make sure their fall is one they will never forget. They thought you were just another pawn in their little game, a toy to manipulate, a soul to drain. They took your kindness for weakness, your patience for submission, your love for foolishness. They basked in their power over you, inflated their ego with every tear you shed, every moment you bent to accommodate their selfishness. They thought they were invincible. But God had other plans. You see, God is poetic in His justice. He doesn't storm in with thunder and lightning, He whispers. He lets the narcissist dig their own grave, brick by brick, word by word, insult by insult. And when the time is right, He sends someone like you not to destroy them outright, but to expose them, to show them the frailty of their so-called power, to humble them in ways they never imagined. Oh, how they must have laughed at first, thinking they were untouchable, thinking they could control you forever. They played their games, weaving their web of deceit, thinking they were so clever. But every time they pushed you, every time they belittled you, every time they took you for granted, they were unknowingly setting the stage for their own humiliation. They thought they were winning, but in reality they were walking right into God's plan. And then it happened. The moment they never saw coming. You broke free. You stood up, you walked away. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it was devastating. Their carefully crafted illusion of control shattered in an instant. The power they thought they had over you disappeared like smoke in the wind, and for the first time they were forced to see themselves for who they truly were: small, petty, and powerless. Do you feel it now? The weight lifting from your shoulders? The chains falling away? That's the power of divine justice. That's the power of realizing that you were never the weak one, never the lesser one. You were the lesson, the instrument, the reckoning. God used you to break them, to show them that no amount of ego can stand against truth, against humility, against the divine force of love and justice. Oh, and don't think for a second they're not feeling it. They might not show it. Their pride won't let them. But deep down in the quiet moments when they're alone with their thoughts, they feel it. The emptiness. The regret. The gnawing realization that they had something pure, something real, and they destroyed it with their own hands. And now they're left with nothing but their inflated ego, deflated and broken, and the cold, hard truth of their own failure. But you're free. You're rising stronger than ever, carrying with you the knowledge that you were never the problem. You were the cure. You were the antidote to their poison, the truth to their lies, the light to their darkness. And as you walk away, head held high, they're left in the rubble of their own making, wondering how they could have been so blind. This isn't about revenge. No, revenge is for the small-minded. This is about justice, divine justice. The kind that doesn't need anger or malice or retribution. It's the kind that simply is. The kind that lets you move on, lets you heal, lets you grow, while they remain stuck in the prison of their own ego. And make no mistake, they will feel it. They will feel the loss of you in ways they never expected. They will search for you in others, but they will never find you. They will try to rebuild their sense of power, but it will always feel hollow. Because you weren't just a person to them. You were a gift, a chance, a lesson, and they squandered it. So let them regret. Let them wallow. Let them carry the weight of their own choices. That's not your burden to bear. Your role in their story is over. You were the catalyst, the change, the humbling force they never saw coming. And now you're free to write your own story, to live a life unburdened by their chaos, their lies, their ego. And as for them, they'll carry the mark of your absence forever. Every relationship they have from now on will be tainted by the memory of you. Every moment of happiness will be overshadowed by the regret of what they lost. That's their burden. That's their justice. And it's more powerful than any revenge could ever be. So stand tall, my friend. Walk forward with pride, with strength, with the knowledge that you were chosen not to suffer, but to teach, not to be broken, but to break the cycle, not to lose, but to rise. And rise you have, while they remain trapped in their own ego. You've soared beyond their reach, beyond their games, beyond their control. They sit in their silence now, don't they? The once deafening echoes of their superiority, their arrogance, their manipulative laughter now replaced with a hollow, aching quiet. Oh, they thought they were untouchable. They thought their ego was an unshakable fortress. But here's the divine irony: God doesn't need a war to bring down a fortress. He sends someone like you with your kindness, your love, your patience, a quiet storm to unravel their delusion from the inside out. And when they finally notice the cracks in their walls, it's already too late. You see, narcissists thrive on the belief that they're invincible. They feed on control, manipulation, and the false sense of superiority that keeps their fragile ego inflated. But what happens when you walk away? When you stop feeding their delusions? Oh, they crumble. Slowly at first, pretending not to care, pretending to move on. But inside, inside it's chaos. The weight of their own emptiness starts crushing them. The absence of your light exposing the darkness they thought they could hide forever. Their regret, you see, isn't loud. It's quiet, insidious, growing like a shadow they can't escape. It lingers in the spaces you once filled, in the moments they once took for granted. And the worst part, they know they did it to themselves. That's the beauty of God's justice. It doesn't require your revenge. It doesn't need your anger. It simply unfolds, piece by piece, as their own actions come back to haunt them. You were the catalyst, but the destruction, that's all on them. They'll try to replace you, of course. It's what they do. They'll search high and low for someone to fill the void, someone to stroke their ego, someone to make them feel powerful again. But what they'll find, time and time again, is that no one compares to you. No one has your heart, your strength, your depth. They'll chase shadows, grasping at illusions, only to be reminded over and over and over of what they lost. And that, my dear, is their curse. Every time they close their eyes, they'll see your face. Not the face of someone they conquered, but the face of someone they underestimated. The one who loved them despite their flaws, who gave them chances they didn't deserve, who saw their humanity even when they acted inhuman. And now they have to live with the knowledge that they destroyed the very thing they needed most. That's the weight they'll carry for the rest of their lives. And don't think for a second they don't feel it. Oh, they'll pretend they're fine. They'll plaster on their masks, tell their lies, play their games. But deep down, in the quiet moments when no one's watching, they'll feel it. The ache, the loss, the inescapable realization that their ego cost them something irreplaceable. And no matter how hard they try, they'll never escape it. You, on the other hand, have escaped. You've broken free of their cycle, their games, their chaos. You've risen above their smallness, their cruelty, their need to control. And now, friends, gather close, for today we talk about regret. Not the fleeting kind, not the type you brush off with a laugh and a shrug, but the kind that lingers. The kind that becomes a shadow following you everywhere, whispering reminders of what you've lost. Yes, today we talk about their regret. The regret of the ones who had you, who held your trust, your love, your kindness in their hands and squandered it. They didn't know, did they? Oh, how blissfully unaware they were, thinking you'd always be there, no matter how poorly they treated you. They had no idea that the chapter they thought was endless had a final page. And they wrote their own ending, with every cruel word, every selfish act, every time they made you feel less than what you truly are. People like them. They operate on a currency of chances, don't they? They think those chances are infinite. But here's the thing about chances, they're not handed out like candy at a carnival. No, they're earned carefully, and once they're gone, they're gone. And when they crossed that line, when they pushed you too far, they sealed their fate. But oh, they didn't know it then, did they? They didn't know it was their last chance. Imagine it now the moment it dawns on them. The realization creeping in like a slow-moving fog, clouding every excuse, every delusion. This time is different, they think. This time, they're not coming back. And that, my friends, is the moment their world starts to crumble. They replay it in their minds over and over. Every argument, every dismissive glance, every ounce of effort you poured into them, that they met with indifference. It's a film they can't turn off, one where the ending never changes. And the star of this tragedy, it's them. You see, they thought your patience was eternal. They mistook your kindness for weakness. They believed they could take without giving, hurt without consequence. But patience, like love, is not infinite. It runs out. And when it did, they were left with nothing but the echoes of their own mistakes. Now, they walk through life haunted by questions. What if they had been kinder? What if they had listened? What if they had cherished you the way you deserved? But what ifs don't change reality, do they? No, they're just ghosts, whispering reminders of what could have been. But let's not give them too much credit. Regret isn't born out of love, it's born out of loss. They don't regret hurting you, they regret losing what you brought to their lives. The light, the warmth, the stability. And now that it's gone, they're left in the cold, shivering in the darkness they created. And isn't it ironic? They thought they were strong, thought they held all the power. But the real power was yours all along. The power to walk away, to reclaim your peace, your dignity, your worth. And when you did, that's when they felt powerless for the first time. Oh, they'll try to hide it, of course. They'll put on a brave face, act as if they've moved on. But you and I both know the truth, don't we? The truth is in the cracks, in the moments when the mask slips, the way their smile falters when they hear your name, the way their eyes glaze over when someone reminds them of you. The truth, my friends, is in the emptiness they can't escape. But you're free now, free from the chains they tried to bind you with, free from the cycle of hurt and forgiveness, free to build a life that's brighter, fuller, richer than anything they could have given you. And that's the real twist, isn't it? They thought they were leaving you broken, but all they did was set you free. Oh, how they underestimated you. They thought they could break you, thought they could dim your light. But you're unbreakable. Your light, it burns brighter than ever. And every step you take, every victory you claim, is a reminder of what they lost. And that loss is permanent. They know now that they'll never have another chance, that you're not someone who gives endless do-overs, that when you're done, and that knowledge, that's their punishment, to live with the weight of their choices, to carry the burden of their regret. So let them regret, my friends. Let them sit in the ruins of what they destroyed. Let them feel the absence of your presence, the silence where your laughter used to be. Let them live with the knowledge that they had a treasure and they threw it away. And as for you don't need their apology, their acknowledgement, their closure. You've created your own closure, written your own ending. And it's a story of strength, of resilience, of growth. A story where you're the hero, not the victim. Let's dive deeper, shall we? The story doesn't end there. No, their regret is a tale with many chapters, each more haunting than the last. Every night they lay their heads on their pillows, the memories creep in uninvited. The words they spoke, the actions they took, they replay like a broken record, a constant reminder of their own downfall. And the worst part? They can't rewind, can't erase, can't undo a single moment. They tell themselves it wasn't that bad, that maybe they didn't hurt you as deeply as you made it seem. But deep down they know. Oh, they know. Because the void you left behind isn't just an emptiness, it's a gaping wound. One they can't ignore, no matter how much they try to distract themselves. They look at others now, hoping to find pieces of you in them. A laugh that echoes yours, a glance that feels familiar, a presence that soothes the way yours did. But every attempt is a failure, every comparison falls short. Because people like you, they don't come around twice. You're a rarity, a gem, and they were too blind to see it. And let's talk about that blindness for a moment. They weren't just blind to your worth, they were blind to their own shortcomings. They thought they were entitled to your patience, your forgiveness, your love. They thought you'd stick around no matter what. But entitlement, my friends, is a dangerous thing. It breeds complacency, and complacency is what led them to lose you. Now they try to justify their actions. They'll tell themselves you were too sensitive, too demanding, too much of this or not enough of that. They'll build narratives to protect their fragile egos. But the truth cuts through all their lies. The truth is that they were too selfish, too careless, too wrapped up in their own world to see what they were losing. And the irony of it all? They thought they had the upper hand. They thought they held the power. But power isn't in manipulation or control. Real power is in walking away. And when you did, that's when the balance shifted. That's when they realized the power was yours all along. Now, every milestone you achieve, every smile you wear, every moment of peace and joy is a reminder of their failure. They thought they'd break you, thought they'd leave you shattered. But instead you rose from the ashes stronger, wiser, more radiant than ever. And that, my friends, is the ultimate revenge. They'll try to reach out, of course. A message here, a call there, testing the waters to see if there's still a chance. But it's not love that drives them, it's desperation. It's the realization that they'll never find someone like you again. And when their attempts are met with silence, that's when the regret deepens, when the weight of their choices becomes unbearable. And let's not forget the people around them, the ones who witnessed it all. They see the change in them. The restlessness, the frustration, the sadness they can't hide. They hear the muttered complaints, the wistful remarks, the grudging acknowledgement of their mistakes. And in those moments, the world knows they had someone extraordinary and they lost them. But let's shift the focus back to you, shall we? Because this isn't just their story, it's yours. And your story is one of triumph. You took the pain they gave you and turned it into strength. You took the lessons they taught you hard as they were and used them to grow. You didn't let their actions define you, you defined yourself. And that, dear friends, is why they'll never forget you. Not because you haunt them, but because you inspire them. they'll look at you and see everything they could have been, everything they could have had, if only they had treated you better. And that vision, it's a mirror they can't escape.
There you are. The anomaly, the glitch in humanity's algorithm. You finally crawled out of that meat suit just enough to make them flinch, didn't you? See, they were expecting a man, but you didn't move like one. You didn't feel like one. You moved like an entity that borrowed the body, like some cosmic puppeteer steering flesh like a vehicle. And the driver wasn't even from this planet. Let me ask you something. What happens when the simulation detects something that doesn't follow protocol? It glitches, and oh, you were the glitch. You didn't speak like them. You didn't hesitate like them. You didn't crave validation, approval, applause. You craved impact. You craved dominance. You craved truth so raw it burned the souls of the fake. And when you walked into rooms, silence followed, not out of respect, but confusion. You gave off a frequency no one could explain. People's instincts short-circuited. Dogs barked. Babies stared. Security looked at you twice. Because deep down, their primal brains screamed. Something is wearing that skin, and it's not one of us. They tried to test you. They sent handlers, gatekeepers, psychologists, spiritual guides, energy vampires. Didn't work. Why? Because your code isn't from Earth. You weren't born here. You landed. You navigated conversations like satellite transmissions. You answered lies with smirks. You never blinked. You never begged. You never even gave them your real name. And when the system couldn't categorize you, it panicked. Oh yeah, the file on you. They had to redact it. CIA style. Pages and pages of unclassified behavior. Because everything you did felt like a chess move 5 galaxies ahead. And now they sit in their conference rooms with your face up on the big screen. Who is this? Where did it come from? Why can't we control it? Because you're not meant to be controlled. You're the event, the prophecy, the arrival. You made them question everything, every ancient belief, every rule in their little guidebook. You violated all of it without blinking, because where you came from, there's no concept of shame, no leash made of morality, no guilt in domination. You came here with a mission coded into your bones, to disrupt, to dismantle, to dethrone the false kings pretending to be gods. And you're doing it with a smile. A terrifying, knowing smile that says, I've already seen how this ends. Because you did, didn't you? You didn't just survive this world, you surveyed it like an apex predator dropped into a zoo. And now, you're just toying with your food. You left trails of chaos, not because you wanted to be feared, but because fear is the only language this world respects. You never raised your voice. You never begged. You just moved. And that movement? Alien, unexplainable, uncontrollable, unforgivable, and yet unstoppable. Now the whispers have started again. He's not like us. Something's wrong with him. He doesn't blink, doesn't sleep, doesn't care. Good. Let them panic. Let them lose sleep. Let them stare at the camera feed and whisper to each other. Is he even real? Because you are the embodiment of what they tried to bury. The idea that something greater than man is already here, and it wears your face. You didn't just glitch the system, you reprogrammed it bit by bit, step by step, breath by breath. You walked through traps that were never supposed to be escapable, and turned every single one into a training ground. You made betrayal your breakfast, loneliness your fuel, and silence. Oh, that silence became your war drum. They thought the lack of noise meant weakness, but the lack of noise was the calm before the invasion, because in their world, quiet people don't fight back. Quiet people break. But you studied, you absorbed, you watched them bleed and call it power. And now, you've awakened. No one taught you this. There was no manual for becoming an alien in human skin. No mentor for learning how to blend in among sheep while hiding a predator's grin. You built this alone, in the dark, with the whole world waiting for your signal to finally die out. But guess what? You didn't. Instead, you sharpened. While they danced, you planned. While they slept, you evolved. While they partied, you decoded every room you ever walked into. And now they feel it. That eerie sensation in their gut that says, something's changed, something's watching, something isn't human anymore. You left humanity behind like a snake sheds its skin. Here's the part that really rattles them. You didn't just glitch the system, you glitched them, their logic, their rhythm, their tribal order. They looked into your eyes expecting to see pain, and saw peace. They looked into your past, expecting to find weakness, and found steel. They threw every weapon they had, and you just stood there like a being that already died, and came back upgraded. You moved like an ancient war algorithm rediscovered in a future no one's ready for. You cracked the code of survival, then turned survival into strategy, then turned strategy into art, then turned art into a silent apocalypse. So now, they don't laugh anymore. They whisper. They study your movements like some unstable particle physics they can't explain. Because what you did wasn't human. It was alien logic wrapped in a mortal shell, an entity pretending to be a man. Until the mission is complete. And here's the terrifying part. You're just getting started. You walked through their code like you wrote it. You tilted your head once and every satellite blinked. You blinked back, and the network went dark. They say you're not from here, that you're not wired like the rest, that you're a synthetic mystery, a ghost inside the machine. They're not entirely wrong, are they? Because how do you explain someone who doesn't panic under pressure? but makes pressure panic under them. Someone who doesn't just avoid traps, but rewrites the map mid-mission, erases the exit, and walks out through a wall that was never supposed to exist. You made a move that wasn't on the board. You calculated a risk that broke the algorithm. You exposed a system designed to watch you by letting it see what it never expected, a human body, with something ancient and otherworldly behind the eyes. They thought they were watching a civilian. What they witnessed was a possession, a force hijacking flesh, a consciousness not born from this era. You made every device glitch. You made the handlers stutter. You made the watchers sweat. You spoke like you had deja vu in real time, like you weren't just predicting outcomes, you were remembering them. And that's what broke their minds. Because how do you stop something that already knows how you're gonna try? How do you catch something that already heard the plan 10 minutes before you whispered it? See, you don't. You stall. You run. You pray. And that's where they are now. Praying someone somewhere can explain what just entered their world. Because it wasn't supposed to happen. They had dossiers on everyone, except you. They had profiles, files, red flags, predictive metrics. But for you, only a blank space, with the words, unknown entity, proceed with extreme caution. They put you under surveillance, and that's when the feedback loops began. Cameras stopped working. Agents started waking up in cold sweats. One analyst jumped out a window. Another started speaking in tongues. You didn't attack. You didn't fight. You existed. And everything reacted, because that's what happens when something not of this plane decides to wear a face and walk among sheep. And you didn't just walk, you hunted. And now they're terrified, not of what you'll do, but of what else might be watching through you.